Welcome to the Legal Women Voters of Chicago Zooming with the Alderman series of interviews. My name is Priscilla Mims, and I'm a proud member of the League. The League itself was founded 101 years ago right here in Chicago, and it is a nonpartisan political organization which encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government. It works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and it influences public policy through education and advocacy. And the Chicago League is one of hundreds of local leagues all across the country. These interviews with the Alder people are part of our efforts to educate people about those who represent us in setting the policies and ordinances that govern us here in Chicago. And today I'm pleased to welcome Alderman Walter Burnett of the 27th Ward. Welcome, Alderman.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me. First of all, I want to commend the League of Women Voters. Appreciate everything that you all have done for our society over many years. You guys have helped to encourage policy and change policy with the political system, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview with you. Please bear with me because I got an earphone in my ear, and there's actually a rules committee going on right now about the remap. But I don't want to not have this interview with you all, so I'm multitasking.
Well, we're impressed that you can do it, so thank you. Now, please know everyone that this Zoom session is being recorded and it will be available for viewing after today on the League website. And we'll be sending you, Alderman Burnett, and everyone who registered for this program who's not a League member, a link to the video so that you can all watch it and share it with others. Also, everyone should know that we've provided the Alderman a copy of the questions that I'll be asking so that he can be prepared to answer. And before starting on those questions, we want to show you a map of the city wards and in particular, the 27th ward. So here we go. And here is a map of the entire city of Chicago, and the 27th ward is located right here, just a little bit, not quite in the center of the city, but just a little east of the center. So, and here we are with the ward itself. So you can see how it comes along here. 42nd, and the downtown area is over here and moves along to the west. Okay, Alderman Burnett, I think this is a great time to ask you to describe your ward. Where is it and what are the main boundaries?
So basically to the furthest west is Aver Street, which is 2 blocks east of Pulaski. The furthest eastern boundary is actually Clark Street. The furthest northern boundary is North Avenue, down there at the bottom, and the furthest southern boundary is Roosevelt, right there. You know, our ward and how I became, how I was able to get the opportunity to run for alderman was doing remap several years ago, because Cabrini Green area used to be in the 42nd ward. And they mapped Cabrini Green into the 27th ward because of the African-American population, to connect it with the west side. And that's how I ended up having an opportunity to run in the 27th ward, because it was a predominantly African-American ward at that time. I grew up in the Cabrini Green community. My dad was a precinct captain. I worked the area for many years. And I know one of your questions is going to be, why did I run, right? I'll probably answer that now. So I ran because I grew up to become the precinct captain also. My mother had lived in the area and I was serving the people. I was associated with folks like George Dunn and Jesse White. And I had a contact with a lot of resources excuse me, my camera, somebody texted me and my camera went out. I was affiliated with a lot of different elected officials and was able to get a lot of resources for the community and was used to having that type of service in our community. They appointed another guy to be alderman by the name of Dexter Watson, who had never really been in politics, didn't have any good relationships with anyone in City Hall, and was not able to service our community to the level that we were used to getting the services. So I said, as a precinct captain, I can do just as much as he can or more and have just as many relationships to make things happen. So I said, maybe I should run. And that's why I ran. So I ran, made it to the runoffs. He didn't make it to the runoffs. I made it to the runoff with a former alderman's son by the name of Wallace Davis III. And I won in the runoff. And that's how I became the alderman.
And what year was that, Alderman?
That was in 1995. And the reason I ran because I wanted to continue to service the people that I had been helping to service since I was in my 20s.
Well, and you're definitely experienced, so I'm sure you know the ropes at this point. And with the 27th ward as it is today, what are some of the neighborhoods that it includes?
So it includes right now it includes Cabrini Green, Old Town, Greektown, Eckhart Park, West Humboldt Park, East Garfield Park, the near West Side. Did I say West Humboldt Park? Goose Island in the Medical District.
So, and is it primarily residential? Is it commercial? Does it have any industrial?
We have industrial. We have two industrial areas. We have the Kinsey industrial area and also the Goose Island industrial area, which we've been able to help to protect and enhance. And then we had a medical district. We have a lot of businesses like in Old Town, Greektown, Fulton Market, Randolph Street, all of those areas, which we have been able to help to enhance and maintain. As in 1995, when I ran for alderman, Cabrini Green was dilapidated. I represent Henry Horner and Rockwell also. So I have 3 or 4 public housing developments. I also represent another small public housing development. But we've been able to work with the transformation of public housing in those areas to help bring people back. And we've been able to build up Skid Row to become one of the hottest areas in the country now. So we've been very blessed. I give it all to God, and the people in the community helped me to get the ward to where it is today. And unfortunately, right now, this will be my 3rd remap. The first remap, I had to give up stuff and they moved me around. The second remap, I had to do the same thing. And because my population keeps growing, I have to always give up things. I want you all to know that it really bothers an alderman when they have to, when you've been working with people for a long time and you get a relationship with them and you've been servicing them, it not just bothers the alderman, it bothers the residents too, that we have to be separated. So myself, what I do, like with my senior citizens who I love so much, even when they get mapped out of my ward, I still include them with everything that I do, because I always say that they were with me from the beginning and I'm not gonna allow lines to divide us. So whenever I do anything for my seniors with passing out stuff, or having parties or taking them on trips, I include the seniors that used to be in my ward because they my family, they're my family. So, and that's, and I guess I got that from Jesse White. He does the same, even though he's Secretary of State, he still, he still mingles with the people that when he used to be the state representative, he still deal with all those same people. So it's just, it's just a thing, you get, attached to people, so to speak.
Well, of
community.
course, and I certainly understand that people get attached to their alderman, and it's hard when you're suddenly in a different ward. So, but of course that happens whether we like it or not every 10
That's right.
years. So, what are a few of the key issues facing the people of your ward?
So right now, I mean, we're having the same issue that everyone is having around the city right now with crime. Crime is very challenging in our ward. Also, we have growing pains, right? We have growing pains because we're getting so developed. In some parts of my community where we've been slated to bring back public housing with mixed use housing in those communities. Sometimes the new people who move to the area and have expensive condos in those areas don't want to recognize that and recognize that we made that commitment years ago in 96, 98. And so, sometimes that's challenging. The challenge is always trying to bring people together and get them to recognize each other and appreciate each other. Sometimes we get rubs between businesses and residents, right? People move to a high business area, then they don't want the businesses to make noise, right? So we run into a lot of things like that. We get a lot of car break-ins in the community. One of my challenges is getting more green space in the West Loop area. We're trying to force more of that to happen. The unfortunate thing in the area of the West Loop and the Fort Market is that we don't have a lot of public spaces to put in green space. So it's always uphill battle to get the developers to add that to some of their developments. Another thing is jobs. We try to make sure folks in our community get job opportunities. We're blessed to have a lot of businesses in the area and a lot of development going on. And we try to connect the dots with we kind of feel like we're Robin Hood sometimes, where we connect the poor with the rich, right? And we connect the people without opportunities with opportunities. So we try to do that for the folks who want to do something, right? Because you still have people, regardless of the opportunities that are there, that they don't try to take advantage of it. So we try to do that. Another thing is, just like everyone else throughout the county, we're dealing with these high taxes, right? So with progress, there's always a little pain, right?
Sure.
And the pain you get when your area gets nice and and a lot of great things are happening, you get the pain of taxes going up. So we try to balance that out the best way that we can, and try to help people to relieve themselves of those things with the assessors and the Board of Appeals and all of those things. But also trying to help our seniors stay in the community because folks are starting to get priced out, right? So we try to encourage more affordable housing to help everyone, because a lot of people on fixed incomes, they may have started out being in the nicest place on the block, and then their place becomes so expensive and everybody have newer places and they can't afford to stay there anymore. So we have to try to build replacement housing for them and help them to be able to stay in the neighborhood they've been in most of their lives. So we try to work on those things.
Well, besides being alderman of the 27th Ward, do you have any other employment?
I do not. I used to have a Series 6 and a 63 to be a financial planner, to help high net worth individuals to do stuff with their money, and then also have an insurance license. But I don't do anything. I don't have time. I'm a full-time alderman. I don't have time to do anything else. I barely have time to write my own bills. Thank God for my wife, So it's like, but I love my job, and I try to work it hard, right? I work day and night. My hours are from like 8 to 8. Thank God I have a family that deal with it, right? I wouldn't say they appreciate it, but they deal with it. So as I the longer you're around, the bigger committees you get, the more staff you get. It gives you a little more time to be able to have to do less than you used to do. But, my wife get on my case because she still say I try to work like I'm a brand new alderman. But, you got to get in people's faces and you got to hear what they have to say,
Sure.
so, yeah.
Well, I know, like so many of the aldermen, you're a member of a number of different committees of the city council, but are you a chair or vice chair of any committees?
Yes, so I am the chairman of the Pedestrian and Traffic Committee, which deals with a lot of things related to traffic, signs, and different legislation like that. But I'm also vice chairman of the Housing Committee, and I'm vice chairman because I, do a lot with housing and do a lot with housing policy. And the chairman there is a great guy. He does a great job, and I support him 100% and work closely with the housing commissioner.
I
But I'm
assume
on,
the rules related to affordable housing in the city, does that go through the housing committee then?
yes, it does. And I have been the initiator and the proponent of affordable housing for 3 different renditions of it. And I'm very proud of that. Uh, but other policies, saving SROs, doing a lot of other things to help preserve housing and the communities. I feel like as communities grow, people in the neighborhood need to grow with the community, not be left behind. Right? I don't think um, communities need to grow at the expense of other people. Right?
Sure.
So.
Okay, well, it seems like the 2 committees, your chair and vice chair, go together, the housing and then how you get around within the community. It seems like
Yeah.
it fits very well. With regard to the operation of the city council, particularly coming, with you being so experienced, are there any changes you would like to see be made with the current operation of the council?
Well, I think the operation is very typical of how most layers of government happen. You have committee meetings, you have them in Washington, D.C., you have them in city council, you have them in Springfield, you have them in the county, you have committee meetings, and then you take after those committee meetings, if it passed in a committee meeting, it goes to the regular body, right? At those committee meetings, people get the opportunity to express themselves. They get the opportunity to debate the issue. Aldermen get the opportunity to debate the issue if they can. One of the challenges with uh, being an alderman and being busy and there's 19 committees, right? So so there's 19 committees. I try to go to all the committee meetings. Funny thing is, it's almost easier when you're on Zoom because you can have 2 or 3 computers at the same time. But when you physically have to go to, you can be in a zoning meeting and it can go on for hours, and then you're supposed to be in a finance committee meeting, right? And then you're supposed to be, in the human relations meeting. Sometimes you can miss stuff because of you have meetings at the same time. And because there's other things going on. So, some of us who are blessed to have staff people try to send our staff to those meetings and try and, get filled in on what the issues are. With some of those if we can't make it, or if you got a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking on the street. So one of the things that I like to change, right now, the mayor has a mandate that we have to go to committee meetings, which is very challenging, right? And I give you a prime example. I was supposed to be at a press conference with the mayor to talk about the we were going to be at the Salt Dome in my ward to talk about how we're going to take care of the streets when the snow comes, right? So I was supposed to be there, but I couldn't because the rules committee was going on at the same time. And so I had to tell them, I can't make it. I'm supposed to introduce the mayor, And I'm like, normally I would go and miss the committee meeting, right?
Sure.
But rules, because they're talking about the maps and stuff, is so important right now. I have to be there to see what's going on. So I told them I couldn't make it, but that tend to happen with us all the time because there's always something going on, and we try to do the best we can. But I would have to say, since Zoom been out, you can be going on your way to another meeting and doing your Zoom meeting in your car. You can listen to it in there, or say aye or yes or whatever for a vote. So it's I'm talking too much, and I apologize. I know you asked me what would I want to change. I think one of the things that I would like to change is that we don't have committee meetings at the same time.
Sure.
That we give more windows, because if you're a conscientious alderman and you want to try to make all of the meetings, it is so hard. It is so challenging. It's so difficult. And also, if like I say, the real meat of an issue happens at the committee meetings. It don't happen on the council floor. The debate happens on the council floor, but the real meat of it, to find out, because on the council floor, you can't ask questions, right? You don't ask questions on the council floor. So the real meat of it happens at the committee meetings. At the committee level, that's where you can find out. You can ask the witnesses, you can cross-examine people. You can hear both sides. You can hear the people for and against. You can get experts to come at the committee level. You can't do that at the council. When it's at the council, it's over with. And so, those who want to, and I don't feel like I'm the smartest guy in the room. So I need to go to those meetings so I can know and understand, right? And so a conscientious person want to be at those meetings so they can understand what's going on before it comes to council. And I try to go to as many as I can, or try to get people to take notes from me so I can know what's happening, because I don't want to fall in the middle of voting for something and I really don't know what's going on, right? And also I want to hear what people have to say, not just read it in the newspaper, right? Because sometimes the newspaper give their angle on it, and it may not be the whole full content of what happened at the meeting or what the real discussion is. So I would want to change that we spread out the committee meetings a little differently. Maybe certain days are certain committees. It's 19 committees. All of them don't have a meeting all the time. I'm on the zoning committee. I'm on the plan commission committee. Both of those go all day, literally the whole day. Sometimes budget goes all day, So I think we shouldn't have a meeting the same day that we have in zoning. We shouldn't have other committee meetings or a plan commission. For those of us, some aldermen are on the plan commission, all aldermen aren't. But some of the meetings, budget committees sometimes go on for a long time. And finance committee goes on for a long time too. So, if you want people to really be indulged and get involved in the meat of what's happening, I think we need to spread those out and make it easier for us, because it gets harder and harder. That's how I feel. I'm always frustrated running back and forth from room to room, trying to hear what's going on,
Well, that makes a lot of sense also for us in the public who are trying to observe some of these meetings. If they're spread out, it does make it a lot easier for us. I think from what I've noticed now with the Zoom meetings, they usually don't have two Zoom meetings going on at the same time. So they'll delay the start of the next committee meeting, from what I've seen, until the one that's going on finishes. And so that may be what you're referring to too, besides not having to run around physically to different rooms. There seems like they're more in order.
Yeah, well, I would have to say this too, Ms. Mims. This administration have more briefings than I've ever had before since I've been alderman. So you can be in committee meetings and they call you in for a briefing,
Okay.
So it gets challenging with that too. right?
Sure.
And you know, when the mayor's office call you, you try to be there, right? Because you don't want to be the last man out, right? So you want to, you, you don't know what you're missing. So it gets challenging. It gets challenging. So if we can figure out a better way of spreading it out, and I've expressed this concern to the administration on several occasions because it gets frustrating. And, you know, some folks probably don't care. I do because I want to know, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And kind of sticking with the city council and the operation, one of the things that some of us who do observe some of the council and committee meetings have seen is that there's an ability of the aldermen to directly introduce an item that hasn't been previously referred to the committee. And this is, I believe, under the Rule 41, the direct introduction. And from the public point of view, we cannot see the contents of that particular ordinance or resolution. It's not published on Legistar. I'm assuming the council or committee members have seen it, but it's not published because it hasn't been apparently sent to the clerk's office. And so it's something can be passed or amended and passed, and the public isn't able to see that. And so we're wondering if you would support the concept of any of these direct introductions, that they have to be posted at least 2 business days before the meeting takes place so the public can see it and potentially weigh in for or against what's being proposed.
Sure. So I don't have a problem with that. But I do think that even when they do a direct introduction, it if I'm not mistaken, it still goes back to a committee meeting for further discussion afterwards.
No, actually, well, it may at the city council, but you can be direct introductions at the committee level. And
oh, you mean at the committee level? Okay.
Yes.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, at the council, it does go back to the committees. I hear what you're saying. Okay, I get that. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Oh, great, good, excellent. I think the some of us on the league are going to pursue that a little bit with some of the council members to see if we can get a majority in favor of allowing that. We're not trying to get in the way of it. It's just we'd like to see what happens before it's passed. But kind of going backwards a little bit, you know, the city has taken a number of steps to try to reduce gun violence. Are there 1 or 2, and they've done a lot, but we'd like you just to focus on maybe 1 or 2 that you think have actually been effective or you think will be effective if they're somewhat new?
I don't know. You know, that's a hard one. I gotta tell you, I've lost 2 nephews to gun violence. Very frustrated about it. I do a lot with young people and ex-offenders and, you know, trying to help people get jobs and actually start companies. So I don't know. I think we need to continue to try to divert people from violence, right? Try to change the culture with education, jobs, and making sure people are healthy. Because some of these things are mental illnesses,
Yeah,
and trauma, right? It's a lot of trauma with these kids because they see so much violence. So I think those are some of the things. I think that you know, the police got to keep trying to readjust how they deal with things, and you know, look at best practices and do what works. You know, they've done a couple of things in the past that did work. Then a new administration get in and change something else. You know, so I think we need to look at what was working. Right now, I was just reading there's an article in the Tribune today, actually about the U.S. attorney and how they're using RICO and some other stuff to deal with gun violence, and how it's so prevalent today unlike it was in the past. There was gang leaders and you sort of could pinpoint where it was coming from. Today is so difficult because it's not about drugs, it's not about money, it's about people doing things on the internet and social media, and these young people get violent over social media. So I don't know, I did talk to the administration at one time about maybe we need to sue Facebook or something, or at least we need to get some money or something from them to help us with some of this stuff, because a lot of the gun violence is bred from some interactions on those sites, right? And we need their help, because they allow for all this type of violent things to go on. I mean, in the newspaper today, they were literally talking about how guys get on Facebook and taunt the other gangs or brag about who they killed, right? And do it on Facebook. They get busted by doing it too, but they do it on Facebook, and it encourages the other gang to come, or the other crew or group to come and shoot at them and put other people in danger. So I don't know. I think we need to figure out where these guns are coming from. It's like, kids be 12 and 14 years old and they have guns. And I can't believe that, guns are so available to people nowadays. It's mind-boggling. So we need to have a special group to just deal with figuring out how these guns are getting into our community and how to stop that. Because it's just so many. I mean, every little kid out here got a gun, unfortunately.
Oh, I know.
Maybe I'm over exaggerating, but it seems that way sometimes in some of the neighborhoods that I have to deal with.
Yeah, no, there's no simple answers, and there's multiple answers. And if only we could snap our fingers and take care of it, but that isn't the way of the world these days. Well, I have one last question for you, Alderman, and that is, what are a few things that you would like to get done, or at least started, during the remainder of this current term, which ends in 2023? So
I made a commitment to the people over in Cabrini Green, and I hope that they don't take that out of my map. I ran for alderman over there in 95 and 98. I signed on to allowing for the buildings to get torn down, right? And I made a commitment to the people over there that, we would rebuild the area, and if they wanted to come back, they could come back. So I want to at least finish up those things, right? I want to finish up the few vacant lots that we have over there where we used to have high rises at. I want to see that get built. Also, over in the West Humboldt Park area of my ward, it used to be a vibrant community. Most of the people used to work at factories in the neighborhood. They all own homes. It used to be an Italian area, Polish area, then turned to African-American area, and it's turned to Hispanic area, but the violence is so bad over there. So I have a lot of vacant lots over there. I'm trying to fill those lots in. I want to build up the business area over there. I'm trying to push everything that's happening over here in the West Loop west. Not as expensive, right? I'm trying to balance it out, but I'm trying to, and it's actually literally happening because it's cheaper to move west than it is to live east. And a lot of the millennials are actually moving west. And so I want to build that area up and finish those two things off, two ends of my ward off, along with, getting the attention that my community deserves in my business areas. Fulton Market is one of the highest tourist areas in the city of Chicago now, right? Actually in the country right now, in the country. And they don't get the attention as Rush Street or Michigan Avenue. We don't get the same type of police attention. sanitation attention, even though we bring in a lot of money to the city of Chicago. So I want to try to get those areas the attention they deserve and the respect that they deserve, because they're, right now is bringing in the money to the city, and I want it to be respected. The Eckhart Park area, we're working on that. That area has come up a lot, and we're trying to keep that area stabilized and keep it growing. It's a beautiful area. Everybody sleep on that community. Used to be an old Polish neighborhood, but it's Polish and Ukrainian. It's a mixed neighborhood. It's very diverse and it's very stabilized. It's a beautiful community. And I just want to keep it stable like that and continue to bring more businesses to Chicago Avenue over there, and try to figure out a way to deal with the parking. Streets like Chicago Avenue don't have too many parking lots.
Right.
So deal with things like that. Of course, try to get the green space over in the West Loop. And the other thing is, some of my schools aren't as good as they should be. So I'm very concerned about my schools, like over here by the United Center. We have a school called Brown School. We put a lot of ingredients in there like STEM and selective enrollment and all of those things, connect them to the medical district. And we also have debt school. They're not doing that good. I can't get people to go to these schools. So my goal is to, help to make the school so attractive that people will be lined up to get in them, right? And both of those schools have a direct line to Crane High School, which is a medical school, which I can't hardly get people to go to, which is crazy. They have a curriculum written by Rush Hospital and UIC, and they get a direct line to Malcolm X College and to Rush and UIC's medical school. So I'm trying to encourage more people to take advantage of those things. In particular, my public housing folks. CHA residents, a lot of people don't know that CHA pay for them to go to college for free, but they don't take advantage of it. But I don't think CHA market it as much as they need to. And not only for academics, but also for construction and other things like that. So I want to try to, build these areas up. I think the Near West Side should be a medical mecca because it's right by the medical district.
Sure.
And I think, I like to see a lot of young African-American and Latino and white kids going to these schools and becoming doctors and nurses and, X-ray technicians in the future, and just walk right over to the medical district that has the most jobs in the state of Illinois. So those are some of my dreams and my goals. Also, one of my other things is trying to get a Brown Line L stop on Division and Orleans. And, a lot of people don't know, but back in the day, they took out a lot of L stops because it was bad public housing to make sure that the people who was going to work was safe from the public housing people. And so I want to put that L stop back there at Orleans and Division, because there's not the stop starts at Chicago Avenue and ends at North Avenue. Right. So if you live in the middle of there, you got to walk, and so I want to me, that's a social justice issue. We've done that with the Green Line at Damon Avenue, because there's not a stop between Ashland and California. So I had to put a stop in the middle of it. And coincidentally, that was right by Henry Horner, right? So I had to put a stop there. So, it was a lot of unconscious bias going on back in the day. And I want to try to fix those things that we made a mistake on, and, help those poor people to put themselves up by the bootstrap and get jobs and become productive citizens in our society and have good transportation.
Well, you've got a lot on your plate, Alderman. I think you need about 82 hours a day to be able to get it all done. But I think that's what happens when you have experience and know what the people of your ward need. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today in the middle of this very hectic time for redistricting.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. And I just want to remind everyone who's watching that a link to the program will be found on the Chicago League's website. And everyone who registered for today's program who's not a League member will receive an email with the link. Now, also, we want to invite any of you, including you, Alderman, if you're not a member of the League, please know that you are most welcome to join. We welcome everyone.
Men can be in the League of Women Voters.
We have a number. We won't change the name because it's historic, because it came out of the women's suffrage movement, but we have a lot of men who are members, and you would be most welcome. As long as with anyone on your staff and your wife too.
Yeah, send us some information.
We will. And so also, before we leave, I just want to remind everyone who's watching today that next week, next Thursday, December 9th, we have another Zooming with the Alderman. In this case, it is going to be with Alderman Jason Urban of the 28th Ward. So again, thank you for being with us tonight, and I hope you'll join us again for a lot of Zooming with the Alderman interviews. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.